Snow White and Griselda's Revenge. After the wedding, Snow White and Prince Florian reigned in peace. The castle was full of light, and the people lived happily. But in the northern woods, a shadow moved silently. A woman with a dark cloak observed the kingdom with eyes of fire. It was Queen Griselda, sister of Queen Grimhilda, determined to avenge her sister's death. She had sworn that Snow White would know the same suffering. In the depths of the forest, Griselda evoked ancient spirits and swore to bring back to life the dark power that had once dominated the world. One night, an icy wind swept through the kingdom. The torches went out, and a shadow was reflected on the castle walls. Snow White woke up with a start, hearing a whisper coming from the magic mirror, which she believed to be destroyed. "Mirror, mirror on the wall," hissed a familiar voice. The mirror reassembled itself, and in its reflection appeared the face of Griselda. "You took my sister's life, and now I will take everything you love," said the queen with an evil look. Snow White, frightened, immediately called Prince Florian, but the mirror exploded into 1,000 fragments, and a dark mark appeared on her arm, burning like fire. The following day, the kingdom was enveloped in a black fog. The animals fled, and the plants withered. The wise men of the castle recognized the sign. It was the curse of the twin blood, a spell that bound the life of Snow White to that of Griselda. If one were dead, the other would also have fallen. Florian decided to seek help in the forest of the Dwarfs, where Snow White had found refuge years before. The 7 dwarfs, having learned of the danger, swore to help her once again. "No witch will be able to touch you as long as we are at your side," said Grumpy, tightening his pickaxe. The dwarfs led Snow White and the prince into a secret cave, where they kept a magic stone called Heart of the Mountain. It was said that it could repel every dark spell, but only if fueled by an act of pure courage. Griselda, however, had followed them. With a spell, she transformed the forest into a labyrinth of illusions. Snow White saw the dwarves disappear one by one, and the prince fall into an abyss of shadows. "Surrender, and I will spare your kingdom," whispered Griselda's voice. But Snow White, remembering the kiss of her love that had saved her, refused to yield with all her strength. In the heart of the labyrinth, Snow White found a stone altar. Above it shone a fragment of the magic mirror. Griselda appeared, wrapped in a cloak of smoke. "With this mirror, I will bring Grimhild back to life," she declared. Snow White tried to destroy him, but the witch struck her with a lightning bolt. Prince Florian, emerging from the shadows, stood between them, protecting her. The dwarves, led by Doc, used the stone of the mountain to create a circle of light around the couple. "Now, Snow White," Cucciolo shouted. "Throw the fragment to the ground," he shouted again. She lifted the fragment and shattered it against the ground. An explosion of light filled the forest. Griselda screamed, full of rage and despair. "You cannot destroy what is eternal," while his body dissolved into a cloud of ash. However, a shadow remained suspended in the air, trying to merge with Snow White. The dwarves joined hands, reciting an ancient protection chant. The stone of the mountain shone, and the shadow was sucked into the ground, imprisoned forever. Snow White fell to the ground, exhausted but alive. Florian lifted her up, and the dwarves applauded, moved and happy. The following day, the sun returned to shine in the kingdom. The trees bloomed again, and the animals returned to the woods. Snow White thanked the dwarfs for their courage. "Without you, the kingdom would have been lost," she said. Grumpy laughed. "Well, you owe us an apple pie, but without poison this time." Everyone laughed, and the tension vanished. The prince proposed to build a watchtower in the forest in honor of their minor friends. Snow White accepted, and the tower became a symbol of friendship and hope for the whole kingdom. But peace was not yet complete. One night, Snow White dreamed of Grimald and Griselda, united in an embrace of light. "You have broken the chain of hatred," said Grimald with a sweet voice. "Now we can rest in peace." Snow White woke up with a tear on her face and with a light heart. He understood that even the darkest souls could find peace if someone had the courage to forgive. He told the dream to the prince, and tenderly he held her tight to him. "You have saved not only the kingdom, but also 2 lost souls," he said with pride. With the passing of the years, Snow White and Florian reigned with wisdom. The dwarves often returned to the castle, bringing gems and laughter. Every spring, Snow White planted a white flower in the royal garden, in memory of the lost sisters. It was said that those flowers shone at night, as if 2 stars watched over the kingdom. The legend of Griselda became a teaching against revenge, and the story of Snow White a symbol of hope. One day, while the sun was setting behind the hills, Snow White looked at the sky and saw 2 stars shining more than the others. She smiled, recognizing in them Grimald and Griselda, finally at peace. The wind caressed her hair, carrying with it a scent of roses. "Even the shadow can find the light," he murmured. The prince embraced her, and together they looked at the moon in a sky full of stars. The kingdom slept peacefully, and their story became eternal, like the light that never goes out. Every night, when the moon illuminated the garden, the white flowers shone like a promise that even from the deepest darkness, hope can be born. Snow White and the prince lived happily, surrounded by love, friendship, and magic. Dwarfs guarded, watching, ever ready to fight shadows.